Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thank you for coming. If you've been here before, thank you for coming back. My name is Stephen and I have been doing these videos a fairly short period of time now, and today's video is about the Land Army. My mum was a teenager during the war, and she was evacuated to Norfolk, and her and her brother stayed at a farm, and the elderly couple who looked after her and her brother, they got to know them as Ma and Pa, and they would bear in mind that they were only 13, 14 at the time, and they would have chores to do outside in the garden. They would fetch the eggs in from the chickens. They learnt to milk the goats. They looked after the horses. Now my mum loved doing the jobs with the horses. She loved the Shire horses. They were big horses, and she loved looking after them. Then they would both then go in for a hearty breakfast, like they did in the country in those days, and they would then go off to school. It was a 2-mile walk to the nearest primary school, and sometimes on the way to school they would hear the voice, "Take cover," as they were being chased by a German aeroplane, so they'd all dive for the nearest ditch. When she got to school, she was teased a little bit in the local school because she was a Londoner. She had a Cockney accent and they didn't understand her. But it also worked the other way as well, where she didn't understand them because they had Norfolk broad accents, those children. Well, the time went by and she thoroughly enjoyed her time in Norfolk. And then one day a letter came, and it was from her parents, Grandma and Grandad, saying that they had to go home. So Mum and her brother went back to London, and her brother was old enough then to actually leave home and go into the army, which is what he did. He went into the army. And Mum, when she was 15, she decided that she would leave home. She'd left school. My grandma wanted her to become a milliner, which is what she did. A milliner is someone who makes hats, but Mum didn't want to do that. She just wanted to go back to Norfolk, and so she packed her bags one day and she went back to Norfolk, where she joined the Land Army. It was the only civilian force that would actually take her, because she was still only 15 years old. And so she joined the Land Army, and she was the youngest person in her barracks at the time. And she was the only one who had a banana, because, you know, bananas were actually rationed at that time. And she used that. She used to swap it with the other girls in the Land Army for makeup, lipstick and stuff like that. They would work out on the fields. Her and the rest of the girls, they'd work in the fields until 10 o'clock at night sometimes, because we had double summertime in those days, and it was light right up until 10. They would work on the thrashing machines. They would work with the horses, the Shire horses. I think her favourite time was lunchtime, when they could stop for cheese and pickle sandwiches and a bottle of cider out in the fields. especially in the summer. It was very nice. It was hot, hot work. Anyway, one day, her and the rest of her group of girls from the barracks, and a couple of farmhand boys were out in the fields working, when overhead came a German aeroplane, and it had been hit by the anti-aircraft guns just up the road, and it landed in the field opposite. So Mum and the rest of the girls and the two Land Army guys, they grabbed their pitchforks and they run across the fields until they got to the plane. And when they got to the plane was on fire a little bit. And they could see that there were at least four German soldiers in the plane. They managed to get one German soldier out, a young lad, must have been about 18, Mum reckoned. She thought that he was probably the navigator, most probably. He was very badly wounded down one side. He got a wound down the side. And anyway, the girls managed to pull him away from the plane. And just as they did, the plane went up. It went woof, up in smoke and flames, and the explosion pushed Mum and the girls over. Unfortunately, the young lad that they rescued didn't survive. Unfortunately, he died in the fields. My mum felt honoured. She was proud to have been a Land Army girl, and the country as a whole worked together as one unit. All the civilian sort of services, they all worked as one. They were all very proud men and women, and they were proud to be British. The Union flag meant something in those days. That's the Union Jack. The four nations that make up the United Kingdom, that's England, Wales, Northern Ireland and Scotland. At that time, during the war, everyone was working together. There was a sense of purpose, a sense of loyalty and respect, which unfortunately today seems to be lacking. The Union Jack is used for a very unpatriotic way today. They're using it in a way of protest, which you should never do with your national flag. It should be looked at and you should be proud of it, and you should be proud of your nation, just like she was back in 1945. She thoroughly enjoyed the Land Army, and she often said it was the best time of her life. Sadly, she's no longer with us, but her memories do live on. Thank you for watching. See you very soon. Bye for now.